Okay.
I'm good. It's been an eventful week. I just got a new job.
Nice. Congratulations. What are you doing?
I'm gonna be a full-time delivery driver for Sherwin-Williams Paints.
Nice.
So not particularly glamorous, but it's full-time, and I'll be making basically in 2 weeks. I will be making more than I currently make in a management position in a month. So
Nice.
yeah, it's a good deal. I've been looking for a while anyway, and then well, last week they fired my boss with no warning. We hadn't heard from like the upper management in the company in probably 6 months,
Hmm.
so we were not. I mean, we know things weren't going well, but we weren't given like a hard line, like, "Hey, this is what you need to do, otherwise, you're going to be fired," type deal.
Right.
We didn't hear anything from them, negative, positive, or indifferent. So that was kind of a crappy thing I thought to do, and it's a good reminder that you know, as terrible as companies like Amazon or Walmart or any of those other corporate behemoths are, you know what they are, right? Like if you work a warehouse job for them or any kind of job for them, you kind of know what you're getting into.
Right.
Whereas when you work for a company that tries to market themselves as any kind of like mom and pop, family run, everybody's buddies here type organization, those are generally like the least professionally run, especially once they start to expand aggressively. Like the company I work for right now just opened a office in Texas for their solar division, and they want to expand this, and it's just like they're not really a small business anymore, but
Right.
they're still kind of running things like it is. And when we brought up that, hey, here's the list of leads we've gotten that demoed, which means that the people actually went through with the appointment, and they aren't selling. So that doesn't really seem like an us problem so much as maybe your sales staff is maybe not doing their jobs.
Right.
And it kind of got the yeah, man, like we're talking to the vice president of the company, the executive vice president of the company, and he's giving me like I don't know what to tell you, man. Like, yeah, I wish I could do something. It's like, you're the one making, like, it's you and one other person are making this decision. So and if you just say that, just say F you, you're fired. Great. Okay. It's terrible, but at least you're not, don't try to, don't ask for a handshake after you kick me in the balls.
Yes.
But that's a story I remember Punk telling on like a shoot interview years ago, like from when he was in ROH. Like, I think it was when he was working he worked a CZW show, and the guy working the match, putting the match together, was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna kick you in the balls right at the start of the match, but then after the match is over, I'm gonna shake your hands." And Punk was like, "I'm not gonna shake your hand after you kick me in the balls. I'm gonna slap you in the face if you stick out your hand to me." But anyway, so yeah, like I said, I was already kind of looking, and then all of this happened, and yeah, so time to go, and I found a job really quickly. So
Oh, congratulations. That's
yeah,
awesome.
thank you.
All right. Professional wrestling.
Is it good? Is it bad? A little of both. Let's discuss.
All right.
I sent a topic list last second if you didn't see it.
Yeah, I got that. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. Hey, everybody. It's The Wrestling Life. It's episode 205. It's July 11th, 2019. I'm Ethan.
And I'm Liam.
Liam, as usual, we have so much to talk about.
And so many things we can't talk about.
It's a big weekend in pro wrestling. Every company in the world is running an event.
Everyone that matters, yeah.
G1, Fight for the Fallen, Evolve on WWE Network, Extreme Rules, more G1. Where do you want to start? Start with the Saturday stuff. Evolve on WWE Network. Is this anything?
I mean, it's trying to get people to not watch AEW show. That's what it is. And I don't know that you need to take that out on Evolve. I mean, I don't think they're unwitting participants in here, but this is obviously this is why they made, the quote unquote deal with the devil, right? So that they would, they're basically at this point a glorified, territory for them to send people. That's why the Street Profits and Fabian Eichner and guys like that went there, and that's what Evolve is now. And I guess they didn't have any other shows that they thought were worth putting on the network. So like, hey, this is a plausible enough reason. We're going to put Evolve's 10th anniversary show on the network. It's a night for celebration, quite frankly. They're sending big NXT stars there out of the goodness of their heart. You know how WWE loves indie wrestling and really just wants to help out.
Right. This is all done out of kindness.
Yes. Yeah, they're just everybody's friend.
I don't hate it. I don't care that they're running up against AEW. Frankly, they should. like why? I don't understand why people are like, oh, this is a dirty trick. It's like,
I mean,
okay.
The argument it was that because the AEW show is the proceeds of which are going towards victims of gun violence, so this isn't your regular old wrestling show as much as it is, something of a charity event. But I mean, this is what happens in a wrestling war, right?
Exactly. That's why I'm not upset in the least about it.
It's like, yeah, Walmart's gonna. It's like, yeah. I mean, you can objectively say, yeah, this is bad, and they're just doing it to try to draw viewers away from AEW. Yeah, and they're gonna do it as often as they can. Same reason they booked Madison Square Garden five days before AAA is gonna run there. Like, they're gonna do everything they can, especially if they think anybody's coming in on their turf.
Right. That's why they ran Dallas 5 days before New Japan ran in Dallas.
Right. Exactly. This is
fine.
What it is.
It's fine. I don't care. The Fight for the Fallen show, I know you're hyped about one match in particular, I know.
Yeah, I mean, it's the Cody and Dustin versus Young Bucks match, which I assume is the main event of the show. They did a hype video they put up on YouTube, which is how they do all their hype videos because they don't have TV yet. But I thought that those sit-down interview pieces they did one with Cody. The Bucks aren't on it really at all other than in footage. It's just Cody and Dustin talking about, the Young Bucks are a great team, but they sort of look down on us like we aren't also a great team. And then the part I didn't like was they kept talking about all the stuff they did in WWE.
Sure.
But they did at least turn that into a kind of a thing where they're talking about like, oh, the Young Bucks spent all their time on Twitter flirting with the Usos, and we beat the Usos' asses for 2 straight years before we left. Which at least that reminded me of when Brett called out Goldberg for challenging Steve Austin to a fight, and he's like, I beat Steve Austin every time I ever wrestled him. Why don't you call me out? Which is like, yeah, that's so at least they kind of brought it back at the end. But and yeah, I liked it. And then there's sort of a line about how the Young Bucks and Cody and Cody were at a dinner with Tony Khan and some of the TNT executives, and they were sort of the Young Bucks did not consider Cody and Dustin to be up to their level of work rate. And so Dustin then said, if that's right, then I'm going to power slam Nick and Matt so hard that their souls leave their bodies. And I was like, that's a good line. So I believe that this is, I mean, they're not trying to portray it as like it's going to be some blood feud now, but they are at least going like, yeah, no, we want to beat them, and we want to prove that we're the best. We want to prove that we're a really good tag team too. I was like, all right, cool. Now I kind of have a reason to care about the match, but yeah, and the fact that it'll be a good match.
Always nice when the pro wrestling companies get you to care about their product.
Yeah, somewhat rare, but it's nice when it happens.
Let's see here. What else do we have? We have the G1. It began this past Saturday. It continues this coming Saturday and Sunday, and it goes on
in perpetuity.
And on and on and on. The A block has, I don't know if you want to do predictions or you just want to just chat up like who looks like likely winners or potential winners in each block. I guess I'll throw out the A block has Okada, Tanahashi, Will Ospreay, and Kota Ibushi as probably the most serious contenders. While the B block has Shingo Takagi, Tetsuya Naito, and I guess Jon Moxley, but I don't see him being pushed as a tippy top guy.
B block has Jay White as well, don't they?
They do, yes. I just don't consider. I don't consider him a tippy top guy either.
I mean, they tried real hard.
Yeah, I mean, they gave him the title.
He beat Okada 3 times in a row, and I would challenge you to find anyone that's beaten Okada twice in a row in that company in the last 5 years.
Yeah, I mean, I guess there's.
And then Okada beat him though. They kind of did the Cena thing though, where like they give him the big win over the top guy, but then the top guy eventually just comes and gets his win back.
Well, they are a little more liberal with how the top guys lose. You know, it's not. It's a big. I don't know. It's a big 3 of Okada, Tanahashi, and Naito, and I guess with Ibushi sticking around, Ibushi is like the fourth pillar there, and then I think everybody else is kind of a level down, and that's where your Whites and your Zack Sabres and people like that are. But are you excited for the continuation of the G1? What did you think of the Dallas show?
Yeah, I thought the Dallas show was really good. I'm gonna throw this out there. I think Lance Archer is better than Drew McIntyre.
Wow.
In every way.
Wow.
I think he's a better worker. He has more exciting. Now, true, he was working with Will Ospreay, who is the first or second best wrestler in the world, but the way he moves is more interesting. He moves to me like I feel like he watched a lot of Undertaker.
Million percent.
I mean, and not just because he does some Undertaker's moves either, but just the way he moves for a big man. And he also has what Drew McIntyre doesn't have, which I think is like interesting facial expressions. So,
he has charisma.
Yes, he has at least he has something that makes me pay attention when he's on the screen, and Drew McIntyre does not have that. But anyway, I thought the Dallas show, the first A block matches were good. I mean, I think the Ospreay Archer match and the Okada Tanahashi match, which was, I mean, we were concerned for Tanahashi's well-being and still are, considering he's got to have a wrestling match every night for 30 days going forward here. But I mean, they had an Okada Tanahashi match. It was kind of a mishmash, best of. But Okada, I think, helped him a lot too. And it was. I thought that was a really good match as well. As far as winners, or your A and B block winners, my thought process was that it just, again, this is my gut, but that's going to be Ibushi and Jay White in the finals.
Interesting. I would guess Ibushi and Naito, but
they've done that match so many times this year, though.
I know, and I think they're going to do it again.
I mean, betting against Naito at least making it to the finals in the G1 is probably a bad. Actually, you shouldn't bet against Naito probably making it to the finals at least. So that's a good point on your end.
Well, just that they've made a big deal for the last 7 months about Naito wants to be the first guy to be Intercontinental and IWGP Heavyweight Champion at the same time, and the only way he does that, well, I mean, I guess he could. Yeah, the only way he does that anytime soon is winning the G1, because he's not in the block with Okada. So it's not like, if he beats Okada in the tournament, he's going to get a title match.
Right.
He's not. The only way he gets a title match anytime soon is if he wins the G1. I guess you could do a thing where somebody wins the briefcase and defends against him, and he wins the briefcase.
Mm-hmm.
In October or whatever, but I don't know. I think we're going to Naito and Ibushi yet again.
Fair bet.
Kenta debuted on the show. The former Hideo Itami, and the now
sure did.
Kenta again. What do you think of Kenta and Ibushi?
I mean, I thought they had a good match. I didn't think it was fantastic, and I didn't enjoy watching Ibushi repeatedly offer up his head to be kicked really hard.
Mm.
Wasn't a big fan of that. I mean, it's tough. It's tough to compare anything Ibushi's done that isn't those Naito matches, because nothing looks nearly as deadly to his, because at least it's like, okay, maybe he'll get a concussion, but he won't get a concussion and a broken neck in this match, maybe.
Sure.
So, I mean, I thought it was good. I didn't see it as like, oh my gosh, Kenta just really showed the world what he can do. It's like, yeah, his kicks look good. I don't know. Did you have any sort of feel for how he's going to be going forward?
No, I didn't. I think he was in there with one of the best guys in the world, and he had a good match. We'll see how his body holds up doing, as you said, practically a match every night for the next 30 days.
Yes. The 30 days, your boy is tired.
your boy is tired. All right, so G1 is going to ruin my life for the next month. That's exciting.
Sure.
Extreme Rules is coming up this Sunday on the award-winning WWE Network. Boy, WWE television this week was something else. Any optimism after Raw on Monday?
I mean, theoretically, some of the matches might be good.
Which ones?
Usos and Revival. Kofi and Joe might be good.
Might be.
I don't know, because like Joe, it seems to really at this point in his career depend on who he's matched up with, depending on whether or not Joe has a good night or not. But he never has necessarily bad nights, but as far as like really good nights. And I mean, the SmackDown 3-way tag will probably be good. They didn't put Finn and Nakamura on this show, did they?
Not as of late
Press
Tuesday.
Time?
Yes, not as of late Tuesday night.
Okay.
So yeah.
So that's my optimism. There might be one or two good wrestling matches on the show.
Monday Night Raw was an absolute disaster this week. What the hell happened?
Well, you're gonna have to tell me, because I watched 1 hour of it and then the Home Run Derby for the rest of the night.
I see. You made a wise choice. Shane McMahon was in 7 segments.
Wow. Okay, I did come back to the main event of the show. I amend my previous statement.
So they did the Masked Man gimmick with Cedric Alexander, and then they beat him. Like what is happening?
Well, the heels got to be strong going into the pay-per-view, man. They're wrestling the Undertaker, for God's sake.
The whole show was the heels got to be strong going into the pay-per-view, except they beat the Revival like a sheet.
Sure.
Or like a drum, clean as a sheet, like a drum, whatever.
Well, we can beat the champs. They got those belts.
It's so stupid. All right, there was so much wrong with Raw. I don't even know where to start. So let's just run down Extreme Rules.
Sure, we'll go. We'll talk about it as we go.
Yeah, let's do that. The Revival and the Usos. I think they keep trying to. They actually think they're going to trick the Revival into staying by giving them the Raw tag titles. And there's no way in hell the Revival are staying. So eventually, at some point, they're going to just beat them and humiliate them. And so the question is, does that start now or does it start later?
When their deal's up, like after Mania next year, right?
Something like that, yeah.
Okay, so I mean, we still got time to like try to sweet talk them for another 2 times. So I could see them losing here, and then between now and then winning the titles like 3 more times. And eventually they're going to offer like $750 to each guy, and they're going to beg them not to go. But I think, yeah, I could see the Usos winning here.
All right. Braun Strowman and Bobby Lashley in a last man standing match.
Audacious Bob.
All right. They told us on TV that Braun possibly had a ruptured spleen. All right. I didn't make that up. We didn't come up with that. They told us he had a possibly ruptured spleen. So now there's 2 possibilities. Either it wasn't a ruptured spleen, and if it isn't, then why did you tell us that to begin with? Or the guy is going to do a match 13 days after rupturing his spleen, which is really stupid.
No, he's tough. That shows that he's tough.
It's we've this is so stupid. Bobby Lashley also can't talk. Like,
yeah, that's why they gave him a manager.
Yeah, and right, and his manager flamed out, and so now Bob's back to cutting his own promos, and he
nobody else. They didn't have any other managers available for him.
Right, they got Stokely Hathaway. What are they doing? Like,
sure, Robbie E's a manager in NXT now. The former Robbie E.
Exactly. You got a million guys. It doesn't matter. You can take a wrestler you're not doing anything with. Make Heath Slater as hype guy. I'm not a Heath Slater guy, but who the hell cares? Like, what?
A loud, obnoxious Southern man as a manager for a big powerhouse? That would never work.
It's worked for 50 years.
Yeah, that's the joke.
I know, but why are we why Bobby can't speak? Like,
Bob can't talk.
All right, Bobby's not particularly over either, because they kind of just reintroduced him and out of nowhere, and like expected the audience to remember this guy that left like 12 years ago.
Yes.
It's bad in every conceivable way.
And he was never like a top act either. It's not like when the Hardy Boys came back, that was a giant deal. Because those, I mean, Matt, not so much, but Jeff was like a legit main, number 2 to, when you have a brand split, number 1 babyface. It's like it was a big deal when they came back. It's like Bob Lashley, yeah, he was in some high profile matches, but he was they never even tried to like really go with him for any length of time.
Well, they half-assed did as the face of the ECW brand, but that got like a quarter of the audience that Raw did. And
also, no one wanted to see him on ECW. They wanted CM Punk and Rob Van Dam to be the top guys.
Right. He got the Roman Reigns push before Roman Reigns did. And then that was kind of it. But yeah, so I am not looking forward to Braun and Bobby Lashley.
Same.
Ricochet and AJ Styles are going to wrestle for the United States Championship. I sat on the couch this week during a commercial break on Raw, and I wrote like 8 to 12 weeks of television of a Ricochet and AJ Styles program.
Mm-hmm.
Just off the top of my head. They did like half of it in about 15 minutes on Raw. They had Ricochet run through Gallows and Anderson. I'm so frustrated with how they use their television time. They have so much TV. They could use it so much better. And we're not so rich in exciting programs between good wrestlers that we need to burn through 4 to 8 weeks of television in 15 minutes.
That's fair. My other part of this that doesn't click for me is Ricochet beat AJ Styles.
I know.
Clean as a sheet. And now it's the thing where the champion is demanding a rematch with the big star. It's kind of the Shelton Benjamin pinning Triple H thing, where the heel laughs off losing, and then the babyface who beat him has to demand a rematch.
See, I don't hate that as much. That was part of the program that I wrote.
Oh, you wrote in Shelton Benjamin versus Triple H?
No. I wrote in, okay, a babyface AJ loses to Ricochet twice, and it sets up the heel turn. I don't have a problem with what they did.
Well, he only lost once. He beat him the first time.
So stupid. I forgot.
At least, well, that was fine because it was to set up the title match, but then they did the title match and Ricochet beat him. If they had done like a non-finish, like if it looked like Ricochet was about to win and Gallows and Anderson ran in and AJ like shoved him off and acted like he was mad and then they did the turn, then you could at least say, well, it wasn't a clean finish. And so Ricochet wants to prove he can pin AJ Styles. Okay, that's at least something. No, Ricochet pinned him clean. It's frustrating.
Aleister Black is going to wrestle Cesaro on this show. This is like the 13th repackaging of Cesaro with yet another new entrance, and
He's the wrestling machine now.
And he has new music again. Cesaro's great. I don't care.
Well, it's like there was a time when you could have tried, and I don't know that it would have worked out. But if you pushed him to the moon after he won the Battle Royal and you gave him Heyman and all that, maybe something could have happened. But much like what Kevin Owens said about Dolph Ziggler on SmackDown the other week, yeah, maybe it should have been you, but it wasn't, and now it never will be. Right? Like Cesaro's chance to be a real top tier main event guy has long since passed. So now, much like Dolph Ziggler, he's just a guy that's been at the same level on television for a decade almost.
Yeah. I guess this, and they're probably just going to beat him again because Aleister Black is the future, and Cesaro, as you mentioned, is the past. So,
yes.
Ugh. All right. I guess fine. Whatever. I guess these are two Paul Heyman guys, Black and Cesaro. So you can see some of Paul's influence here on this card.
Yeah, sure. I think I'm kind of being serious when I said that Cesaro's the wrestling machine now. Like he's going to be the Paul Heyman version of Kurt Angle.
Yeah.
The vicious, shooter who, just attacks everybody.
Yeah. You brought up the SmackDown 3-way tag title match: Daniel Bryan and Rowan against the New Day versus Heavy Machinery. It should be a good match. Heavy Machinery are entertaining as kind of an undercard tag act, but I don't necessarily know that they need the titles.
Not now, I wouldn't say. I mean, if you want to do like a LOL, imagine WWE doing long-term storylines for their undercard. But yeah, if you did a long-term storyline of them like building up, they don't have. This would also require them having like a bunch of tag teams for Heavy Machinery to run through. It's like they should lose this one and then run through every tag team, get back to Bryan and Rowan, and 6 months, and then win the titles. But I don't need them to win the titles, and I mean New Day have had the titles 3,000 times, so I would assume Bryan and Rowan retain here, but I also don't know what you do with that act because there aren't any other teams.
Right. Drew Gulak versus Tony Nese for the Cruiserweight title on the pre-show, I'm sure.
Better be.
I don't have anything to add.
I like Gulak. He's really good, and when he's matched with the right guy, he can be like really, really, really entertaining. But I don't think Tony Nese is enhancing any match that he's in.
Bayley is defending the SmackDown Women's Championship in a handicap match against Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross. Now, you would think that this Alexa Bliss Nikki Cross thing is going to lead to a program between the two of them.
You would think
at some point, but I never bet against a blonde woman in a title match in WWE. So it sure seems like Sasha Banks is returning to TV. She could come back and help Bayley retain, and then they go off to Alexa and Nikki, and Sasha Banks is just back, I guess.
Sure. I mean, you could have Sasha come back and you could have her turn on Bayley.
I mean,
reignite the hottest feud in the biz.
Oh gosh,
the hottest feud of 2018, Sasha versus Bayley.
If she comes back as a heel, she should wrestle Becky.
I think so too. Actually, I think that's a good SummerSlam opponent for Becky.
It makes the most sense, so I'm sure they won't do it.
Sure.
Kofi Kingston defending the WWE title against Samoa Joe. I didn't think Kofi would ever be a world champion. I really don't think Samoa Joe is ever going to be a champion in Vince McMahon's WWE.
Yeah, no, I think Kofi will beat him clean with his kick. I think that's what's going to happen until it's clear where they're going from here. I think Kofi's going to keep winning matches clean with his kick, so I imagine that will happen here.
Pop and Roman Reigns are wrestling Shane McMahon and Drew McIntyre, the boss's large adult son, and the boss's pet project. I don't know. No, Drew, they have to lose. Drew and Shane have to lose.
You would think, although they are apparently doing Undertaker and Drew at SummerSlam. I mean, I guess Shane can just take the fall, and then Drew can challenge Undertaker to a one-on-one match.
So you know what's gonna happen, right? Is Drew's gonna pin Roman?
Probably. We gotta get him over for the pop.
Shane's gonna pin Roman. Whatever.
Let's hope so. Well, Shane's got his next program already. They're gonna go back to the Kevin Owens thing, but actually Kevin Owens gonna be a babyface this time.
Cool. Cool.
The thing is, like, I liked the Owens promo on SmackDown where he just buried Shane McMahon and talked about how terrible it is that he's on television every week.
It was funny.
You should really only cut that promo if that person is gonna go away. Like, if they're gonna do like a loser leaves town match between Shane and Owens at SummerSlam, where if Shane loses, he can't appear on television for a year or whatever, great. But if, much like when they had Seth Rollins come out in December and tell everyone that the reason the show is bad is because Baron Corbin is all over it, and then Baron Corbin was just still all over the show, and still is to this day. Because Miz cut a similar promo a couple weeks ago. It's like, yeah, you're coming out and you're telling everyone and you're yelling and screaming about how terrible Shane is, how boring it is, how he's taking time from all these talented people, and the crowd's into it. But it's like, but if he doesn't go away after you cut that promo, what are we doing, man? Why are we doing this?
I think the whole theme of this show is what are we doing? What
are we doing with our lives? We could have been fans of anything, you know? Competitive ice dancing.
Oh, yeah.
Curling.
Right. Yeah, so let's talk about the main event of this show. All right, so this pay-per-view is called...
We already talked about Shane.
This show is called Extreme Rules, which is stupid because it's supposed to be the pay-per-view without any rules.
Sure.
And every match on this show has extra rules.
Maybe it's extreme in how many rules there are.
Exactly.
There are like extra rules.
Exactly. Extra
like
rules.
Open hand strikes are also banned in these matches.
So here's the stipulation for the title match. It's a last chance winners take all mixed tag team Extreme Rules match.
All that is missing is Mike Tenay saying it's really quite simple.
Seth and Becky defending against Baron and Lacey. Awesome.
This sucks. I don't like anyone in this feud currently. I don't like them in these roles, I should say. I like Becky just fine. But I just want to shut the show off when any of these people are on screen for fear that the other people are going to show up in the same segment. And they're just, I hate watching these four in the same segments together.
So, Lacey and Corbin laid out Seth and Becky on Monday in the opening.
Beautiful Baron.
On Raw, that's right. I thought Lacey missed Becky by 1.5 feet with her woman's right. Turns out she popped her right in the jaw.
Yeah, that's the Shane McMahon special. The offense that looks terrible but is also actually hitting the person.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if you put this on last or you put Undertaker on last.
I mean, nothing's getting a bigger reaction than Undertaker's entrance on this show, so they should probably put Undertaker on last. But I don't know. Maybe I don't know. It's theoretically it's their two biggest full-time stars are wrestling in the main event, so as a team. So I guess if you're looking towards the future, then I guess they should be the ones going on last and not the 62-year-old man.
Yeah, we'll see. We need to get somebody ready for Seth.
Who?
I don't know.
Cesaro or Aleister Black. I'm trying to think who they could even put with him. Is there another show between now and SummerSlam, or is this it?
No, this is it.
Okay. So I honestly don't know. Like, I don't know unless it's Brock.
Yeah, Paul. We should talk about that. Paul did the "It's not a prediction; it's a spoiler" line about Brock on Raw on Monday. I think it's Seth and Brock at SummerSlam. So Brock's going to come back and cash in here, right?
You would think he could do which would really be a babyface move, but I'm cashing in at SummerSlam maneuver. Because maybe they don't want to take the belt off Seth, but or yeah, he could. Yeah, Paul did it's not a prediction spoiler. He did note probably covering his own butt in case they change their minds between now and Sunday. But it's like, hey, every time I say this line, it comes true. Maybe I'm lying this time. Which is really what they really should have done, is have him say that, and then the announcers should be the one to point that out.
Yes.
But
yes.
like, hey, oh my gosh, we know Paul's lied a lot in the past about Brock being here, but every time he gives that spoiler line, it's come true. Like, that's probably what the announcers should be there for. But I mean, I also wouldn't rely on Michael Cole or any of them to deliver that message properly.
No, they're too busy talking about like French fries.
Perhaps Paul was wise to just deliver that message himself.
Yeah. So the fact that they don't have anyone clearly heated up next for Seth, I mean, you really can't do Seth and Corbin again. So
it's the last chance mixed tag match, man.
Right. So you got to go with.
I mean, unless they got somebody they're calling up from NXT on the first official Heyman Raw after the pay-per-view.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's coming up on Sunday from Philadelphia. Be curious to see how the Philly crowd treats this whole show. They
should boo everyone but Becky in that main event.
We get the first Bischoff SmackDown coming up on Tuesday.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it can't be worse. Or at least it'll be worse in a different way, right?
It'll be different, probably. Yeah. Yeah, there's definitely that. And we talked about it in passing, but sure seems like Sasha Banks is returning. She went to Japan on her own, just called up the Sendai Girls office and said, hey, I want to train with you. And went in and trained.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but that doesn't seem like something someone who is staying in WWE long term would do.
I don't know, man. I think pretty clearly whenever her deal is up, I think she's going to look to do the Dean Ambrose thing and sign with AEW, but work international dates elsewhere.
Makes sense to me. I mean, he's certainly making the most of that. You know, he's art. I mean, to the audiences, he went from a guy who I don't think a lot of people were super jazzed about ever seeing again, myself included, to being a pretty compelling character on two different on two different continents.
Yeah. So I think she's gonna come back, finish out her contract, and then go. But so that's the TWL speculation station, and another item in the speculation station this week. You think Becky Lynch is wrestling Stephanie McMahon at WrestleMania?
Yes. I said this, like, I don't think I ever said it on the show, but I remember I messaged you like 3 months ago and said that this is what it was going to be.
Yeah.
And this was based on back then. It was like right at the end of April, whenever they announced they were doing Charlotte and Becky at whatever that show they did, Charlotte and Becky after WrestleMania was. And Dave Meltzer had a line in the Observer about how they have Becky's match planned for next Mania. It's going to be a main event again, if not the main event. And as of now, it is not scheduled to be either Charlotte or Ronda Rousey.
Right.
And I said to you, maybe a little bit jokingly, it's going to be Stephanie. Because there's no other star that would be big enough for that spot. And then this week on Twitter, Stephanie posted I don't know, they were at some charity event or something, and she tagged Becky and Seth Rollins in the tweet, and Becky responded saying, "Hey Steph, we should fight sometime." And it just jogged my memory that, yeah, I think that's WrestleMania next year is Becky Lynch versus Stephanie McMahon, because as we know, that's the only story they will ever tell is the boss versus the wrestler. It made them more money than any other story ever did, and so now it's the only story they will ever tell ever again.
Can't we get like a big muscly babyface beating big stinky giants?
I mean, I'm sure we'll get a little bit of that. Well, we were gonna get that, but now Lars is hurt, so we can't feed him to Roman.
Awesome. Good times. All right. Well, big weekend of wrestling coming up. Big
every weekend for the next 2 months.
Yep. Big.
Pretty big.
Yep. That's like Saturday, the 10th of August. It's just a disaster of a day. Or that whole weekend, really. You got TakeOver and G1 on Saturday. You got SummerSlam on Sunday, and then you got the G1 final on Monday morning. It's ridiculous. It's like in like 30.
And that Saturday is also like the Ring of Honor show in Toronto too, I think.
I don't care about
not that. Well, no, but it's a big show.
I don't care about Ring of Honor. I watched.
That's one last news. No, we should mention that New Japan's decided to run the East Coast of North America by themselves.
Yeah, good for them.
Yes.
I wouldn't want to run with Ring of Honor either.
Who would?
Yeah. In passing here, I watched the Impact pay-per-view this past weekend. I guess it was notable because they did Tessa Blanchard and what's his name, Sami Callihan in the main event.
Lonnie Donegan.
Yes, Tessa against Lonnie Donegan in the main event of that show. I guess we talked a little bit about this off air, but intergender matches, are they good? Are they bad? Do they exist?
I don't have a problem like inherently with intergender. I don't know that I need to see it like every week on a show, but if you have a good story to tell and it involves a man fighting a woman, I don't think that's inherently bad or that it inherently glorifies domestic violence or man on woman violence. Mostly because, I mean, there are, television shows, movies, comic books, whatever, where men fight women all the time. Good guys fight bad girls. Good girls fight bad guys. Like it's not a unique thing, and it's mixed and matched as to the motivations of the characters. But it's like, yeah, if you have a story that you think can lead to a good intergender match, I got no real problems with it. What about you?
I think as an occasional thing with the right people with the right story, I think it's fine. I actually think Impact did it very well, which I can't believe I'm saying out loud. But I also had to watch.
Callahan won, didn't he?
Well, they didn't do the finish right. But as far as the story leading to the match, I thought they did it very well.
Okay.
Tessa Blanchard's going to main event a WrestleMania one day against Charlotte, most likely.
Seems like a safe bet.
She's definitely going to main event a WrestleMania one day. Like, I don't know. Obviously, the word is that WWE passed on her a while ago because she had attitude problems. I don't know, man. She must have really had a bad attitude because she's better than anybody they have on the women's wrestling side. Maybe with the exception of Asuka or Io Shirai or Kairi Sane or somebody like that. She's better than. I mean, but we don't get to see.
She's better than Carmella.
Oh, she's better than Becky. She's better than Sasha. She's better than Charlotte. She's better than Bayley. Like, she's better than everybody they push. Like it's crazy. It's crazy to me. Like, she must really have screwed up.
Yeah, I mean, you would think just with the last name and Hunter being such a horseman mark and and her being as good as she is, and I mean, even when maybe she wasn't as polished in the ring, when she would do like when I would see her here and there on shows, I always thought, man, she's got like a real star quality that that thing you can't teach. And it's like, yeah, so she must have just been quite unpleasant.
Yeah, but she's gonna main event at WrestleMania one day though, so it'll all work itself out.
It'll be fine.
All right. Got anything else you want to get into?
No, I think that's we've covered a lot of ground here in this free flowing discussion.
Yeah, it occasionally touches on mature subjects. Yes.
Yeah, I think we can wrap it up and head on home.
All right, let's do that. Till next time, everybody. I'm Ethan,
and I'm Liam,
and we'll be back soon with more stories from the wrestling life.
Bye-bye.
All right, good times.
All right.
So when do you start your new job?
It's like the 22nd, like whatever that like third Monday in July is.
Nice. Yeah, that's the 22nd.
Yep.
Good times.
Yeah, it's like also the most professional hiring process I've ever been a part of. Like they had me pre-fill out like my tax forms and stuff, and
nice.
I had to fill out like a special form to like say that I'm definitely a citizen and stuff. And there's I have to get it's funny because I just got like a special I mentioned it, I got a physical a few weeks ago. This DOT thing, but it's not what I have is like a medical certification, but what I need for this job is a DOT medical card. So I think I have to get a second physical.
Ooh.
In like the last, I mean, it's not, I mean, if I get checked for a hernia again, I'm going to be pissed. But I mean, the rest of it was fine. Like they didn't take any blood or anything. So it was pretty, painless. The rest of it is just, check your blood pressure, make sure you can see and that you can hear and stuff. So I'm not that worried about it, but I'm.
And they have to touch your groin.
Yes, that I'm less thrilled about.
All right, I'm gonna go walk the dog.
All right, homie.
All right, love you, dude.
Yeah, love you too. Thanks for editing.